Hello. This should be working. Hello. Can anybody hear me? Apparently, we should be live right now. This is the first time that I've done this, so bear with me. Um, hello. Yes, apparently we should be live now. Hello, is anybody watching, listening? Hello, Ace. Um, um, I just want to make sure that this is definitely working. It is. Ace, lovely. So, welcome. It's just me tonight. Rick is busy with other stuff, other things that you will be seeing very, very soon. He may well drop in later on, we don't know, but it's a bit busy. It's just me for the moment. I just thought it'd be ace just to go live, give reactions right now in terms of the news that Leigh have been promoted. Didn't want to see that coming. I didn't at all. I'm just going to wait until some more people come in. Bear with me. Otherwise, I'm just going to be talking to myself, aren't I? Which is always ace. And it's something like the first sign of madness that you're talking to yourself. But no, get involved. Let me know you're listening, watching. Let me know what you think of the news. Um, it's great to see that Bradford didn't get in. I must admit, although I like to be a bit impartial, it's always good to see Bradford wind the necks in about not being promoted and that sort of thing. But no, it's something that you love to see. Um, One thing that I will say is that it's great. The whole thing has just been brilliant in terms of increasing the excitement of the sport, really, to have it live on Sky Sports News. I've said it to other people. I'd love to see the difference between the ratings that Sky Sports News would get on a normal Monday afternoon, Monday lunchtime for the normal programming, and to today. So yeah, that'd be ace. Um, to find that out. Oh, more and more people coming in. Ace, thank you very much. Welcome everyone. I'll do another introduction since there's loads of people here. This is a live talking the facts of life, sponsored by Eclipse Energy and Delivery. It's just me. Just thought I'd do a live reaction to the news today because even though Halifax Panthers had to drop out of the race, it's something that directly involves us because um, we know that he does I don't know what to say. Yeah, it involves because let's not make no bones about it. One of our main rivals in terms of squad has gone up to Super League and we won't be playing them next year. So that's a really good way to be a bit selfish about these sort of things. But yeah, I'm chuffed it's Leigh. I must admit. I'm sure everyone will have some views on that. And if you do, please let me know. I will go on to social media while we're on here because there's no comments yet. Please comment. Please comment away. That's the whole point of this sort of thing. If I wanted to talk to myself, I'd sit there in the mirror and do that. But no, please comment away. That'd be ace. Um, As I say, it's completely experimental. Normally, like the live stream that we did the other week, Rick's got all the gear, and I've got no idea. Um, so yeah, it's just something to be a bit of reactions, get everyone involved. I was proper buzzing. I was really excited about it today. It's a bit weird waking up thinking of news that doesn't involve Halifax, where we had to drop out the race because we didn't have enough fans for the criteria, the much maligned criteria that we might come on to a little bit later on. Um, but yeah, I described it as an in um, how did I say it now? It's an imperfect solution for a problem that should never have existed. Toronto, let's address the elephant in the room. Toronto dropped out I personally believe that they should have been given another chance because the positives far outweigh the negatives. Um, it just shows that rugby league has got a global brand, a bit of an identity, and it is an absolute crying shame and a travesty that Super League, as in the clubs and also Super League as a top brass, didn't get to experience Toronto out there, didn't get to experience the match day experience because they would have been turned round. I was a skeptic before. I'll hold my hands up. I'll admit that I was a skeptic before I actually went out there, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It's a crying shame that we haven't got that anymore. But we're going to move on. We've got to fulfil a criteria. We've got to have a 12 team. 8 teams originally put their interest. We dropped out first because we weren't going to get there in terms of the fans. Widnes then dropped out because of their recent history in terms of their money management and so on and so forth. But that didn't stop Bradford and Leigh applying. But Leigh did get up there. Let's address the playing aspect because I've said previously, first and foremost, rugby league's a sport and it's about what's on the pitch. Leigh had won every game. Since the start of the season, technically the Beatles to go up because we were the last team that they played, and their squad, as I said last week on the podcast with Rick, their squad is just ridiculous, and I still think that even right now with their squad, they will stay up in the Super League. They've got the ability now to possibly add another couple of players in there, and I think they'll be really competitive, and the likes of Wakefield, Hull KR, Castleford, Huddersfield, they might be slightly worried in terms of the squad that they've got there, and also with the momentum that they've got in with the good news that they've had, it could be very very interesting, I must say. Good evening, Gary Ingham. Thank you very much for joining us and let me know. Hear you loud and clear. Yes, some people think don't necessarily need the microphone to be heard loud and clear, but there we go. That's all good there. Um, Richard Brewster, friend of the show, come on. Been under a rock all day. Presume Bradford got in. Bully. Well, if you believe the hype, what the Arctic Monkey said, don't believe the hype. It was a certainty that Bradford got in, and all the doomsayers, me included, thought that the much maligned criteria was tailor made for Bradford to get in, but some sort of common sense has prevailed because they weren't chosen and let the meltdown commence. I said it on the podcast last week, and I've said it to people for the last couple of months or so. If you cannot think of any, apart from the fan base, you cannot think of any rational way where you can put Bradford next to Leigh, Toulouse, and London, for instance. York, they're in a bit of a project. York are doing all the right things and making the right noises, but I believe it's a bit too early for them there. But I do believe that you can, if you were rational and you were impartial about these sort of things, you can't make a reason why you will put Bradford above them. Why would they go into Super League? If you put the geography aspect into it, Bradford's right in the middle of rugby league hotbed. It's all over the place. What they're going to bring fresh into it than another M62 club? Heritage. They've got no heritage. The Bradford Bulls club, as we know it, was created in 2017. Since then, they've won the Yorkshire Cup and a League One playoff, which was hastily arranged because they made a mess up of the promotion where York got promoted. Financial history, no said. Playing squad, mediocre at best. Danny Bruff's a great signing. He'll work alongside Jordan Lilly, and they've got some decent, solid championship players. But yeah, and that is with my impartial rugby head on. As I say, he just doesn't get there. There's something on my face. Yes, it's a beard, unfortunately. It's my scruffy hobo beard. I'm seeing how far it'll grow because for 28, nearly 30 years, I couldn't grow facial hair, so I'm making the most of it in that respect there. Thank you, Brew. Gary agrees with me. Bradford don't deserve it, nor really did Leigh. Now, let's get on to Leigh. I think all round, I think their bid was very, very strong because, like I said at the outset, the rugby league is a sport, and on the pitch, they were the best performing team in terms of the last 3 years. They were 100% this year, and they were in Super League before, and that sort of thing. They are an extremely strong Championship team in that respect. There, geography. I'm not a big. Well, geography gets a lot of like knocks in that respect. You can't help where you're from. He's not. We're not going to turn into a bloody American sports and franchise and move people places. Leigh is where Leigh is. Halifax is where Halifax is, then that sort of thing. You can't move it. It's not their fault for it. They get decent crowds, and the crowds will definitely go up and they go into Super League. And yeah, I don't buy geographical stuff. Money, yep, I completely agree. Money did the. What I said before is that Leigh and Bradford are too boom and bust for my liking. Leigh, we all know what's happened to them. It depends what day of the week Derek Beaumont wakes with the right side of the bed, whether he puts money in or anything like that. But you can't blame someone who's got deep pockets who is a big fan of the club. And he will keep on putting the money in, and fair play to him. If he gets days like this, anyone who saw the Leigh Facebook footage with him rolling on the floor, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's one of those. I'm going to completely ignore the online content because it's just daft. I personally think it's absolutely daft. And I know the irony of doing an online stream talking about online presence and that sort of thing, but I just don't think it should be. When the criteria was released and they said, oh, it'd be heavily weighted. No, it won't be heavily. It'll have equal important weighting on stuff. I just did not buy that at all. And again, that feeds into the conspiracy that Bradford will do well because they've got 3 million fans who are all online and that sort of thing. It feeds into that. But yeah, I don't know what Leigh's numbers are. I'm not really focused on that. But at the end of the day, they've done what they've done there. Thank you for joining us, Matt. my good friend over from Leigh. He said, biased I know, but I doubt anyone had the consistency of our bid across several areas. That's the point that I'm trying to make, really. If you put all the criteria down, I've got them in front of me here, so let's go through them. So we've got enhance the commercial value of the Super League to broadcast and sponsorship partners of Super League Europe, deliver value to other members of Super League, be competitive on the field of play, be sustainable for the 2021 season and beyond, and as a result of being Super League, help deliver the broader goals of the sport as set out in the RFL strategy reset. Now, I'm not privy to the RFL strategy reset. You can take what the RFL say with a pinch of salt, really, but what the kind of knee-jerk reaction from rugby league fans that I've seen is that picking Leigh would not enhance the commercial value of Super League or broadcast sponsorship or anything like that. I completely get that. You're not going to get far-flung corners of the world thinking, oh, I'm going to invest in that little pit town near Wigan kind of thing. But again, like I said before, you can't help where you're from in that respect there. If you're going to go down that road solely, then Toulouse would have been your answer because that has fresh eyes in it, and that's who I would have picked if I was my choice. There would have been Toulouse because you're replacing an expansion club with another expansion club, and Toulouse deserve their shot. But again, it's not for me to say. I can talk all day about this. Let's look at the comments because there's a few coming through. If you're getting that Bradford won the Challenge Cup last year against Leeds, yes, that is absolutely true. They may say that we won the Championship Challenge Cup and we beat them, but absolutely brew. I completely agree with you there. Stephen Robert Shaw, do Bulls go back to Rams now or do they go to Odsal? Very good question. There's been a lot of noise being made about Bradford going back to Odsal and the validity of that and the fact that stock car racing is going back to Odsal and that sort of thing there. I don't know. I think the vested interest in who they've got in charge of them in terms of Matt Sawyer and the like, they may well want to stay in Dewsbury to save some brass. I don't know. Firstly, Odsal's got to get a safety certificate, haven't they? That's the big thing there. It's got to be fit to horse rugby league. Whether it was fit to horse rugby league in the last 20 years, that is another argument for another day. Sean Yule, thank you very much for joining us. Amazes me the 12th spot was decided by an independent panel, but Toronto's fate was decided by 11 Super League teams. Really, really good point, and I've seen that a few times today, and it was questioned in in a couple of the group chats that I'm part of. And friend of the show, Matt Shaw, did absolutely hit the nail on the head. If this process was chosen by the other Super League teams, it would have been 100% Bradford, because Bradford, for all their faults, do have a massive fan base and they will bring a massive away element, and that puts money in the coffers of the clubs. That is what it is. Leigh bring a lot, and Lee's away support is fantastic, but Bradford's absolutely dwarfs it, and that would what would it be. Like I said at the very outset, it's an imperfect solution for a problem that should never have happened in the first place. I think Toronto were shafted. I'll say that right now. I think they should have been not necessarily given another chance, so to speak, but I think treated a little bit more failing, a bit more kind of, well, yeah. Toronto got in the mess that they got in because of coronavirus, because of the lockdown. If the lockdown hadn't have happened, we would not be having this conversation, because I believe, and I will stick my neck out and say that Toronto would have stayed up. Yes, the league form was a bit dismal before the lockdown, but last game before lockdown, I believe it was, they knocked Huddersfield out the Challenge Cup, and then they've got to go to Toronto, and they are formidable over there. They would have, and with the genuine 8, 9, 10,000 fans that they've got there, it would have been brilliant, and it would have taken them home, because I don't think there'd be many teams that would go over to Toronto and win. As I say, London only just managed it, and that was a shock. But it's it is what it is. It's been and gone. Obviously, the way that Argyle ran the club left a lot to be desired and was completely and utterly wrong. And quite rightly, he's got out the club and the sport. But I believe they should have been given a bit of leeway. Kind of, yeah, we'll give you a bit more time, but it's one of those. Rugby does have a lot of vested interest in it, and yeah, I completely take your point, Sean, because it is a very, very good question. Again, it just smacks of one rule for one and one rule for the other, but this was an independent panel, as independent as it can be, but we've got to respect the decision. I'm glad it's not Bradford. Although, again, selfishly speaking, it would have been nice to see Bradford go up and get absolutely battered every week. But again, that's another story. I don't think they'll even have a decent championship team. But then again, I'm happy to be shot down if that is the case. Let's talk about York a little bit, because they have kind of been mentioned before. They've got a really, really nice stadium. I know that James Ford did an interview with the media in the stadium there. It looks pretty decent. They've done all right. They had one good season in the Championship where they overperformed, you could say, just like Halifax did in 2015 and 2017 and 2018 and that sort of thing. I just think it was a bit too early for them. They're going in the right direction. They're doing all things right. If they can keep hold of James Ford, that is a big thing, because he's a really, really good young coach, and they're just making the right noises and doing the right things, and I think they'll be all right. One of the things that I've read in the last few hours or so is that, and what the clubs who didn't make it should take on board, is the fact that they've no doubt they'll be given like feedback sheet or dossier from this independent panel as to why they didn't get in, what they did well, what they didn't. It's an absolute blueprint to say, look, this is what you need to do to be successful and to be good in our eyes. Now, hopefully, this process doesn't mean that we're gonna go down the road of licensing, because that would kill the game. And I am so anti-licensing, you would not believe. But it's a great. In this instance, it was right. And it's not a bad idea to get a fresh set of eyes on these sort of things. Hopefully, Halifax got a little bit the same when they bowed out the race in that respect. We've seen the last 2-3 weeks with the rebrand and stuff. We know what we're doing. We know the main thing we've got to do. We've got to get more bums on seats and feet on terraces, and that is what we've got to do. And lower that age of demographic of the people that come and support us. And that is, we've started brilliantly with the Panthers rebrand. I'm 100% behind it. 99% of fans seem to be behind it. So that's absolutely brilliant. We've seen, in terms of the recruitment on the pitch, we've got a really good squad going on. Been announced today that Scott Grix has joined the coaching staff as well as a player assistant coach role. Again, young British coach. We're doing all the right things. I'm really encouraged by where we're going. Was it too early for us to apply for Super League and get in? Of course it was. We were never going to get in. Never, ever going to get in. And anyone who did think we were getting in is as deluded as the Bradford fans who thought we were going to get in. We've got to show that ambition. And that's what the other 6, 7 teams, if you include Widnes in that mix as well, we're thinking there as well. You've got to be in it to win it. You've got to show your hand, because how else are you going to promote attract sponsors and your calibre of players to progress? And we've got a really good calibre of player coming through and join Halifax there as well. York, yeah, I think it's a bit too early for them, but they're in the right place. They're close to the M62. I think they're but not necessarily M62 corridor. The fan base is growing bit by bit by bit. They've got potential for so much more because York's a huge city in terms of population, the surrounding area there as well. Yeah, they're the kind of the non-threatening team. No one really hates them. No one really likes them. They're just kind of there, and I don't mind them. I don't really have that much strong feeling towards them. But yeah, they're all right. They'll do. Toulouse, I'll go to Toulouse because I'm genuinely gutted that Toulouse didn't get up, because I believe, again, like I said previously about the Toronto departure, it would have been tailor-made for the panel to go, right, we'll replace one non-Heartland team with another non-Heartland team. Toulouse have been steadily building for years and years and years. They've just moved into ground share with the Rugby Union team in that brilliant-looking stadium, so the ground's all good for them. They've got a really good squad there. They've always had the likes of Ford and Corella and stuff. They've had the likes of Reynolds, who's gone there from Leigh, and other players as well who have just gone from my memory just this moment. But yeah, I just think it's a slightly missed opportunity. But again, they could put all their eggs in one basket to try and get promotion on the pitch. The thing with Leigh this time is that it's always going to be an asterisk promotion. They didn't earn it on the field. They didn't have that. And maybe that's what the silver lining is for Toulouse. They want to earn it on the field. But I think they'd have been ready for that in that respect there. As an Halifax fan, it's a bit of a silver lining because it means we can go to Toulouse again, get us back in the melting pot. Lovely stuff, and see that new stadium because it does look absolutely brilliant. A lot closer to the city centre. And yeah, it's after the year we've had, I really want to go back to Toulouse and get out the country, have a little bit of mini holiday and that sort of thing. Players will love it there as well, as we heard from Mitch Carley. The Toulouse experience is brilliant, and yeah, I just hope that it doesn't disillusion them too much, so that they don't come back as a force, because rugby league needs a strong French presence there, and the championship is great for having a strong Toulouse in there, and hopefully they do come back stronger. Who else? Fev. God, dear old rivals, Fev. I think they're a decent proposal. As I say, again, it's down to geography where people hold it against Fev. They are an old pit village in Wakefield with 3 postcodes in there, and yeah. But if you take away from that aspect there, they had a decent crack. They've got a lovely ground. No one can say that Post Office Road is a dump anymore. It's a lovely ground, and it's their own. It's their own ground, and they make the most out of it. It's a brilliant facility for what it is, and they've got scope to develop if needs be, I do believe as well. On the pitch, it goes without saying, doesn't it? Fev are always there. They're always there and thereabouts. They got to grand final against a £1 million game, whichever one it was, against Toronto, and they only just lost. So that was a feather in the cap there. I think they weren't necessarily just a write-offs that everyone had them there. Yeah, it's the main thing, and again, I'll put my personal point of view there. They're too closely tied with Leeds, and how that would impact in terms of the on-field performance would have been a worry, because make no bones about it, and I don't mind being shot down about this. a big part in the last 2, 3 years of Featherstone's success. The dual reg players that they've had from Leeds, the Ashton Goldings, the McClellans, um, the names escape me, but there were so many of them. The Wellington Alberts, you could say, they made a big impact on where they were there. Adam Patchett's come there, Fev Rhinos. Yeah, you could say that. How that relationship would work if Featherstone got promoted, we don't know. It's something that we'll never know because no doubt they'll have that relationship while I say on the championship. But that would where they'd fall down in my opinion. But again, it depends whether or not some of the clubs will make the findings of this panel public. It'd be very very interesting if it was. But yeah, I just think Fev, they just need to sort that out. But they are one hell of a championship team. Love them or hate them, Featherstone are always going to be there and thereabouts. They have got some really good players in their team there, but again, it's how many of them leads we don't know. Yeah, it's one of those. And then lastly, London. If we're going to do a review of all the other teams, London, you look at it straight away and go, London. That's where all the media is. Surely that's a great choice. And also with the news in the last 24, 48 hours that they were going to ground share with Wimbledon, with their new ground, you'd have thought, there must be something in that to drop that little nugget in there. Yeah, it's very very interesting. Like me and Rick said on the podcast last week, you could argue that they were extremely unlucky to get relegated at the very end of last season. They've got relegated on points difference with the most points ever to get relegated. They on the pitch they were doing really well, and in Danny Ward they've got one of the best young coaches in the game. This year they weren't nearly great shakes. Again, if you go down the geography route, they've got that feather in the cap. A big feather in the cap of London is their youth development, and I think it was you, Matt Lawton, who said that we can't just keep relying on the rugby league hotbeds of your Wigan amateur clubs, Saints amateur clubs, Halifax amateur clubs, Leeds amateur clubs, Warrington amateur clubs to get your players, your Wakefield, your Fev Wakey clubs to keep getting your talent. And London and the South East region is producing some really really good players, and a lot of them are bearing fruit, whether that is going into London's first team or elsewhere. Your likes of Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook, or your Dixons and Griffins and so on and so forth. They are starting to bear fruit in that respect there. So yeah, hopefully the thing about it, and absolutely perfect timing for Nathan Farrer to leave that comment. Leigh going up blows the competition, the championship roll on 2021. The thing about it, and it's what I think it was Gary Carter that said that on Twitter, is that it just shows what a brilliant division the championship's going to be next year. Because if you've potentially got 6 teams so that's half the league, who think we are ready for Super League, that can only be a good thing. That can only be a good thing for the league. And if Sky were watching, and if Sky had any ounce of nouns about them, they would think, hang on, we've got the rights for this league. Why not show some games other than the Summer Bash, other than the grand final? Because yes, Leigh's squad was amazing. He's amazing, and they will do well in Super League. But you've got the likes of Toulouse, London, Halifax, Featherstone, York, who are going to have really great competitive squad. Let's include Bradford in that, because they may well have some tricks up the sleeve, and you can't write off Danny Brough as a rugby player. He's far too street smart, and he's got a wand of a left foot. You've got at least half of the teams in the championship who have got Super League aspirations and who want to prove it. And then you've got the likes of Newcastle Thunder coming up, who are not coming through on a wet sail thinking, hang on, We want to be a championship team. We've got Super League aspirations because of the money that Hogan and that's put in and where we are and the potential close ties that they could have with Newcastle United Football Club. You don't know. So it's absolutely fascinating. And that's even when you factor in the fact that by the time that the season should hopefully get underway, it'll be in the best part of a year since we've been to a game since there's been any championship action. So it's just going to be absolutely fascinating, and I'm proper excited. I'm proper buzzing um, for it to get started, and that's probably why I've been so excited all day about this news because it's just something new. It's something that directly um, involves Halifax, and yeah, it's just really great. And again, going back to my original point, to actually have a live broadcast on Sky Sports News, which was also on Sky Main Event as well, for this process was great. And fair play to Sky Sports and the RFL and Super League for arranging that because it's built up the excitement nicely. It's kind of the same message as we've got for our Panthers rebrand. It gets people talking. It gets eyes on the sport who might not necessarily have been watching the sport before in a time where sport isn't as accessible as it once was. It's just really good, and long may that continue from that there. Are there any other comments on here that I've actually missed? No. Oh, Richard Ingham should have promoted Fev. Yeah, managed that. Mentioned that. I don't think they should have gone up personally. I think they fell down in too many areas in comparison to others. But that don't necessarily mean I thought it was as weak as, let's say, York or Bradford's bid. I think they were a credible, let's say, third, fourth place. If I would have still put Toulouse above Leigh. I've got no complaints about Leigh going up. Other than the great, I've got a lot of friends over there, and I do admire the club in terms of what they're doing or have done there, and I think they'll do really well in Super League in terms of on the pitch. I think Toulouse are really unlucky to miss out from an expansionist point of view. London, again, like I said on the podcast, if Leigh, London or Toulouse had have gone up, I don't think many people would have gone, what? I think people would have gone, fair play, like they have done with Leigh, really. Like in the midst of things, a lot of people come out and said, yeah, Leigh's a small pit village and blah blah blah. How's that going to enhance the promotion of our sport, enhance the money that's coming in? We'll see. You could say that it'll enhance because of the gates that are going to come through. Leigh v Wigan, Leigh v Saints, Warrington. Locality of games will mean more people will actually go to the games. And like I've touched on previously, because we've been starved of live action for a year by the time the season gets underway, more and more people will want to actually go to the game rather than sitting at home listening to fake crowd noise and Phil Clark talking rubbish. That will be the be all and end all for it, and the crowds will go up because, make no bones about it, Degsy Beaumont will put all the offers under the sun for bums on seats and feet on terraces over there, and fair play to them and good luck to them because they've done everything right. Leigh, they've got promoted through grand finals, they've got promoted through the middle eights, they've done everything right on the pitch, and they've had a really good squad. Why not be promoted this way? Why not have the all round strongest bid? Where not necessarily excelling in one area. Well, they excelled in on-field performance and the breadth of squad. Why not have that? Because we're not in that position talking as Halifax Panthers fan. We don't have the numbers on the crowd that they do. We don't have the sugar daddy of Degsy Beaumont to put money in or anything like that. We don't have the ground that Leigh do. Leigh own their own ground, I believe. I don't know. Matt, please comment and say if I'm wrong or right. But they make the most of it. They've got Man United women's playing there. They've got Man United under 23s playing there. And it's a lovely, lovely facility. It's Leigh Sports Village, as is the Shea. No one's about the Shea. The Shea is a really good facility. Needs modernising a little bit, but there's plans afoot for that. But yeah, you can't. I can't argue. I was sat on my sofa today, hoping that Toulouse would go up. When Leigh was announced, I let out a little cheer. I was like, "Yes, great stuff." Mainly because I didn't want Bradford to go up, and that's the be all and end all. Bradford. If Bradford would have gone up, yes, there would have been a meltdown. It'd been hilarious to see. Um, for Twitter value and the humour that goes with it. And also to see them getting absolutely shafted each week because their squad isn't great at all. And again, I'm not fully aware I'm going to set myself up for a fall if and when Bradford do beat us, but hopefully, because the squad that Simon Grix and Ian Crode has assembled, as opposed to Bradford squad, hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, I just can't. Apart from crowd numbers, I can't think of another viable reason why Bradford would have gone up, really. So, common sense to a degree has prevailed in that one there. So, yes, hopefully. It should be great. I'm looking forward to seeing Leigh in Super League, seeing how they do, because their squad is is frightening in terms of what they've assembled there. And I do believe they will offer something new. They'll offer something new. John Duffy as a coach. He's he's unorthodox, as we all know, in terms of his tactics and the way that his teams want to play. But again, if you're coming up from the championship, you've got to do something different. You can't just die wondering. And yeah, fair play to him, fair play. And the caliber of player that they've got there is granted. I'm fully aware that they've signed at least half of the Toronto players, but they've got to play somewhere. They've got to go somewhere, and they lost his Leeds game. We've gained it as well. We've got Greg Worthington and Gavin Springer from them, so we can't complain too loudly. But in terms of putting an Halifax Panthers head on this, and like I've said in previous podcasts as well, it's a blessing in disguise for us to drop out the running and be spectators on this, because we just got to focus on what we can do well. We've got to be the best club possible, and us being the best championship club possible is what I aim for. And if we do that and we win the grand final, we go up and we go up to Super League. We've earned it on the pitch. We've done it by putting another 1,000 or two on the gate because people have bought into the Panthers rebrand and the buzz about the town, which is starting now and no doubt will continue to happen once lockdown is eased. Once we come out of it, will be great. And I can't wait to get back into it. And I genuinely think that we will surprise a few people with what we've got going on, and that is what I hope and pray will happen, and I expect it to happen. I don't think we'll be mediocre. I don't think we'll be mid-table. And I genuinely think we'll be challenging for the top of the league, especially now, like Nathan Farrer said. Our main big competition, the best squad in the league, has got promoted. We don't have to worry about them anymore. Toulouse are strong, London are strong, Featherstone are strong. There's four, and I'll include Halifax in that. There's four teams there who are going to be in the mix for things, and I genuinely think that we'll be there and thereabouts. And that's music to my ears, because I genuinely think it's the right way to go about things. Not saying that what Leigh have done is wrong. It isn't. I'll keep banging on. It's an imperfect way of doing it, but you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the raffle. And Leigh have bought a very expensive ticket, and they've won a very fulfilling raffle there. And hopefully, they do stay up rather than bouncing back down. And if you remember a few years ago when they did go up, they did learn a very harsh lesson by spunking a load of money on Australian journeymen and that sort of thing, and not kind of keeping the nucleus of a great squad there. I think it's different now, and I know that Derek Beaumont said quite early in the piece that he's really happy, and I think John Duffy said exactly the same as well. They're really happy with the squad they've assembled, both in the Championship and if they do go in Super League. They will do, and obviously with Super League, higher salary cap, they'll have money to spend there, and that sort of thing. So fair play to them. Fair play to them, as I say. And I've got a soft spot for Leigh. I think they do a lot of the right things, and I've got quite a lot of friends over there. So yes, it's good news for them. In terms of Halifax, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's cross out 2020. 2020 is year dot in terms of where we're going. We were Halifax RLFC, stagnating, kind of going nowhere. We're now Halifax Panthers. It's a dawn of a new era where we've got a clear vision of where we're going, and I'm so excited. I know everyone else is by the reaction to the rebranding, and by the reaction of the post that I put on the group about does anyone not like it. I was expecting a few people to go absolutely hate it. There were one or two. And that is absolutely fantastic that the fact that a rebrand has been done so well and so correctly that people are so behind it. It's absolutely great, and I can't thank the powers that be enough for that, really, because it's absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to go on my phone and look at some of the reaction of fans there from fans there in terms of the reaction of the news to of the announcement. So I'm talking absolute rubbish. I can't multitask. I'm a bloke. Oh, by the way, this is Mike Hagan, not Mike Gott. Where is Mike Gott? Who knows who Mike Gott is? I had to drop that one in. Please comment as well if you are watching. There's currently 12 people watching. Thank you very much for that. Interesting poll on the Facebook group who will win the championships. Lots of people think Halifax. Fair play. I'm confident with the squad that we've got. That'll be absolutely fantastic for that. Sorry about this. You can tell I've not done this before. We're a lot better in terms of the pre-recorded podcasts and stuff. But yes, Rick's not here because he's doing, as you may or may not know, Rick does a lot of the videos and interviews with the club. He does a lot of really, really good work there, but also he produces this podcast, and he's got some plans for this coming for which he's currently working on at the moment, which should be very, very good, and I hope that you will all think so as well. Let's do a bit of plugging. Season tickets. Get your season tickets. There's a couple of days left. It's actually tomorrow, 15th December. That's when early bird finishes. Get your season tickets. Put some money into the club. Commit to come and watch us next year. That'd be absolutely ace. Nigel Ward for Bradford. Yeah. Cheer up, Nigel Ward. Oh, what can it be? The irony of the RFL turning down about a Nigel Wood club is absolutely brilliant. I'm absolutely loving that. A lot of people taking some Bradford fans saying they're going to protest against the RFL. They're taking that seriously. They won't. They're not doing that. Don't be daft. They're trying to backtrack humour. The Bradford fans who were convinced that they were going up, absolutely convinced, of backtracking like Homer going into a bush. They are doing that there. People feeling sorry for York. Why? Let's be brutal about this. York were never ever gonna go up. I would have probably passed out if York had gone up. They're doing everything right. It's just come a bit too early for them. If it had been 2-3 years in the future, maybe, but not right now. They've got a lovely little ground now away from Booth and Crescent. They've got a good backroom support network going forward for them. They've got a really good coach. Their time will come, but just not now. People think it should have been Featherstone or York. Again, Featherstone, their bid weren't as weak as some people thought. A lot of people had a bit of vested interest in can get you Fev out of our league, but there are rivals and they push each other on. It's like the Messi and Ronaldo debate in football. One drives the other. You could say that about Featherstone and Halifax in some respect. I think Feather going all right. Feather a bit more further forward than York, in my opinion. They've just got produce their own players and not be so heavily reliant on Leeds, really. Goffers has got his season ticket. Good lad, Goffers. Knew you would get that season ticket there. Um, duh, 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 duh. Yeah, a lot of people think it was a good choice because of the stadium. In terms of Leigh, yeah, can't argue with that. I think Leigh Sports Village is one of the best stadiums in rugby league in terms of vantage point, atmosphere. Although it's a bugger to get out of, absolute bugger to get out of. Um, but it's a canny way of keeping people in to get more drinks to let the traffic go. We've been there when there's been 3,000-4,000 there. Imagine going to leave and there's a full house there. Whoa, absolute carnage. But yeah, I can't wait until the season. Anybody know on here when the seasons will the season's fixtures will get announced? Because I really want to get myself sort of for Toulouse, getting that melting pot. And those who went last year, I'm sure it's a lot better than Toulouse in 2019. Goffers has come on again. Glad it's Leigh. Best sound out of our league. Also means Toulouse trip COVID allowing will be on. Yeah, that's a very good point you raised there, Goffers, or Neil Greenwood for your Sunday name. Yeah, it's kind of going back to the point I made previously about whether or not the findings of this panel will be made public, because if Toulouse if Toulouse were rejected because of the COVID restrictions, then I think that is very, very unfair. Because, again, like we've said for the likes of Leigh and Featherstone, you can't blame geography. You can't blame where you are for that. If you're a successful club and you want to progress, you're a successful club no matter where you are. Whether that's in a small mining village in the north of England or a town, a city in the south of France, it should not matter. And by the same token, when Toronto got expelled from the league because COVID knackered their club up, it shouldn't be the same for Toulouse. And hopefully it wasn't, but it wasn't weighted that heavily, because I think that'd be an absolute travesty if it was. But it's a good point. If it should have been a case of, well, if Toulouse did get up to Super League and COVID was still going on, then it'll just be no fans again, which is rubbish. But sport's got to go on, and you've got to make the most of it in that respect there. Thank you for that, Goffers. Appreciate that. But yeah, I'd love to know from any other people in the know whether or not Bradford are going to be going back to Odsal because of this news, or whether they're going to stay at Dewsbury. Whether London are going to be still going to Wimbledon, because a big thing of that that news that came out in the last day or two was that if they went to Super League, they would move into Wimbledon Football Club's new ground on their old site of Plough Lane. Will that be the case if they stay down in the Championship? I don't know. Ealing Trailfinders is a lovely little setup. Don't get me wrong, it's a lovely little ground, but is it, again, as we go talk about ambition and facilities and stuff, do you look at that and say that is top level sporting facility? No, there's a lot of temporary stands there and that sort of thing. When you compare it against the likes of Toulouse Stadium or Leigh Sports Village, or even, especially now York's Stadium, you can't really compare it. So London have got to try and find their own base to kind of build their own ground on. But again, that's a lot easier said than done for that there. What else is there? I think we're going to come to a close here, because there is not much else that we can go on there. We've got a comment here from Jimmy Sutcliffe. Think you were good tonight. Thank you very much. I think you were good tonight for a first time effort for doing this by myself. I think that's a bit of a bit of a question that's outside my remit. This he's talking about price of away games and stuff. Unfortunately, I do not work for the club in that respect, so I've got no control over gate prices or anything like that. But hopefully, the whole thing about buying a season ticket is committing to the club. It works out cheap if you do go to every game. I know a lot of people can't necessarily make that commitment for season tickets, but I do know that there is flexible payment options for those who can't necessarily afford it all in one go. Speak to the club. That's a big thing advice I would say. Speak to the club. I don't think they'll turn you away because you can't put a big chunk of coin in there straight away. I'm sure they'll come to some sort of arrangement with you, because I know that a lot of, not just kind of rugby clubs, but a lot of financial agreements so that these days are kind of pay as you go, split into different ways. COVID has brought out, has completely changed the world in terms of culture, but also finances there as well. A lot of it will be kind of what you can manage and when. I'm sure the club will appreciate people want to put the money in to commit to the club. Just let them know. But unfortunately for this avenue, I do not represent the club, although I've got some lovely shirts behind me. I am not part of the club in that respect there. Any more? I don't think there is. If that is the case, I've talked for 50 minutes without a break or anything. Usually, way by this time, it's me and Rick will go for a drink and have a bit of a break, but obviously not doing that there at the moment. I think we'll call it quits there. I think that's it. Yep. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, you loyal band of people. I hear that Mick Gledhill is live as well. No doubt that would have been interesting. A lot more interested than me spouting a load of rubbish. But thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. It's massively appreciated both tonight and also for the podcast as well. It means an absolute massive amount to myself and Rick. That you do get so involved and you do listen, you do send us stuff there as well. It's absolutely brilliant. And also to our sponsors, Eclipse Energy and Delivery.